Welcome back to the Dead Air podcast. My name is Jess.
And I'm Mark.
And we are the owners of Dead Air Records, an independent record shop right here in the heart of Liverpool. We started this podcast because we wanted to talk about music. We wanted to spotlight some of the amazing, talented musicians that are in the city and also talk about the artists that are visiting here as well. This week, we are super excited to share an interview that we had in the shop a couple of months ago. Mark, do you want to introduce who that's with?
Yeah, so we interviewed Anton Newcombe from the Brian Jonestown Massacre, one of my favourite bands.
Amazing.
He came to the city and gave us a few hours of his time. It was a great interview and amazing to meet someone who I've been listening to since I can remember as a kid. So, yeah.
Really, really special.
Really special.
The Brian Jonestown Massacre are playing here in Liverpool at the Liverpool Olympia on the 7th of February. Tickets are available to buy.
Yeah.
We're going to be there. We're super excited to see them live. When Anton was here, he talked about his special connection to the city.
Yeah.
And that's going to be really exciting to see how that plays out in terms of a stage show.
Yeah, it was great to dig into his mind and try and find out what bands he's listening to currently, what his favourite albums are, and how he collects records and what records and vinyl mean to him. It was a great insight. You know, I could have spoke to him for hours. Yeah.
And like the BJM's discography is absolutely prolific, and he takes in so much inspiration from so many different artists. So yeah, like you said, being able to know what he's listening to now and where he still takes inspiration from, and also where people have said they take inspiration from him. Yeah. That was really interesting to hear about.
I just feel like he's influenced so many people over the years that they've been going. And it's just an honor. It really was just an honor to meet him. We're going to the interview now, and then we'll catch up with you later to talk about a very, very special giveaway.
More on that soon.
Hi, I'm Anton from the Brian Jonestown Massacre, and I'm hanging out at Dead Air Records. I'm just pleased as punch and excited to be playing at the Liverpool Olympia on February 7th. We're just about to do this lovely podcast.
Welcome to Dead Air Records and welcome back to Liverpool. You've just released a new single, Don't Look at Me, with Amy Nash of the Black Rider. Can you tell us about that collaboration?
When I write music and get into it, it takes a while to get up to speed until I reach sort of like a purple patch.
Okay.
Is what we call it. You know, where they're just, you stop thinking about what you're trying to do and it just seems more effortlessly and you're on a creative streak.
Yeah.
And I don't really worry about what type of music stylistically or what I'm aiming for. Mainly I want to keep the continuity and the creativity flowing, so I'm banging things out.
Nice.
And I tend to come up with so much music that I'll just leave things in various states of incompletion. I'll let other people come along. I'll say, have a go at this, or you want to have a go at this, just to see, you know.
Yeah.
And also, I've always loved the juxtaposition of the way, I mean, I don't want to get into genders, but let's go old school.
Yeah.
Like in the Brill Building. I personally, I've always loved the juxtaposition of like a male writing poetry for a woman from their perspectives of love, because I think for most people it's quite different.
Yeah.
Like like if a guy says I love you to a woman and a woman goes, well, tell me, what does that mean? Because you're kind of a jerk. Right? And the vice versa. So I've always been fascinated by the way those, like if you read a woman's thoughts coming out of a man's, you know, this is what I wish he would say. So I always loved writing for somebody else.
That's really cool.
You know, I like that. You know, I like the juxtapositions.
That's cool. And is there like an album coming? Is there an album to follow?
Well, we've talked about it a little bit, but you know, once again, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Cool.
Because going backwards, I don't want to put any limits on. The important thing is to be creative at this point in my life.
Of course.
Because I just feel like most people, they just get really crappy and give up, or else their motivations for not giving up are really not true. So it's really a horrible thing.
That was something I was going to ask you actually. Was the last couple of albums that you've done, the Fire Doesn't Grow in Trees and Your Future Is Your Past, incredible albums.
Thank you.
I just incredible. I think some of my favorite BGM stuff, and I'm just curious, like, where do you find inspiration these days? Like, how do you stay so consistent?
Well, they're not really pandemic records, but let's all remember back during that time. There was an element of this existential crisis, the invisible bullshit, and that people were passing away. You knew people that were going through things, and it's just so much uncertainty. And I think trying to be positive through all that stuff is part of it, Yeah. Because when you have those kind of feelings, like it's the end of the world, or maybe you have health problems. Looks like those wars are coming. It's like, fuck it, It's like, what do you have to, pardon my language, so what do you have to lose? What are you waiting for? You know what I mean? So it's kind of cool to just be real and put everything into it. And so that's what kind of motivated me in a little bit.
Nice. You're playing the Liverpool Olympia on the 7th of Feb.
Yeah, that's amazing.
As part of your upcoming European tour. Can you tell us about your relationship to the city?
Part of my upbringing.
Right.
I was thinking the other day how, in a way, the Bunnymen are like kind of my Beatles. You know what I used to think in town here that was super funny is I'd be on the bus or on the underground. I'd see an old lady and I was like, I wonder if Paul and John had her in the alley. It's like an 80-year-old lady, and you're like, I wonder if she was naughty back then.
Oh my God.
Because it's possible, But then I got this whole script in my head, because it's the same thing works when you're in Germany or something. You see a whole nice old lady with a dog, and you're like, wonder what she was up to back in the day. Well, my relationship to the city, I've always really liked it. I like the people a lot.
Yeah.
Everybody talks about, I'm not dissing them. Everybody talks about Manchester's contribution to all this kind of stuff, but which is fine.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I prefer the Laws to Stone Roses or something, and I'm not knocking them down.
Yeah.
Putting them down on what they mean to anybody or any of that other stuff. And of course I love Joy Division and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But, I've always liked this place, and I prefer the north too.
For sure. Let's go.
The south of the country. I mean, I've got nothing against Cornwall and all that stuff either. I like slow dive and those folks. Yeah. But I just prefer that it suits my temperament better to be up here.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. We wanted to ask you about your record collection. How do you collect records? Do you look for specific items, or do you just collect on a whim?
Well, the funnier thing is I'll be at these what you call them car boot sales, right?
Yeah.
And I'll go, oh, this is great.
Yeah.
Here's Lou Reed's Rock and Roll. I gotta get this, right?
Yeah.
And then you get home and you're like, I have 11 copies of that. Yeah. And it'll be like, oh, here's Pierre's second edition. I gotta get this.
Yeah, you can't leave it there.
You know what I mean? I'm just like, oh yeah. Got 8 of those. Oh, it's David Sylvian.
Yeah.
I love this record, man. Secrets of the Beehive. Here's 5 of those. And I'll just do it.
Yeah. Do you file your collection alphabetically, or is it?
No, and
it's
worse. Or? I got a guy who's my merch girl, and he's also my cleaning lady, Tim. And when I'm playing records, I'll it'll go from directly in front of the turntable to the next record I put on to the next record, and then I get to a certain point, and then I kind of lean more records going this way, and it's this weird kind of way that they're leaning against each other until there's about 320 records that are all just bangers on the floor, and then he'll come in to mop, and I swear to God you won't find a single one of those records for another 5 months.
Really?
And I've got shelves. You won't find another one of those records. Because I've got Price's Brazilian stuff. I've got just every single thing is as fascinating as the next, you know, to listen to, and it's just gone.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I know. It's horrible.
What are some of your most cherished records?
Well, you know, that's really a tough call. I've had a copy of Sounds of Silence my whole life, and I listened to that side 2 infinitely, you know, over and over again.
Yeah.
Because it's so weird.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know, I love it. It's so dark.
Yeah.
My mom was like, "You're gonna end up in a mental hospital for sure." Since 2 years old, I've been just playing that thing religiously.
Wow. I
don't know. There's just a lot of stuff, you know.
Yeah.
People ask me, "Oh, what are you into now?" You know. And I'll go. Occasionally, I'll let somebody else in this like grand pantheon that's well over 1,000 records, and I could just keep them. And either whether I'm on vinyl or on YouTube's or whatever, I keep this stuff going in when I turn to it, and it can keep me in the same mood for like months, you know?
Yeah.
It's like an alpha wave generator or something.
Cool.
You know?
Yeah.
Like if you're watching a dream machine in your house, it has the same effect on me. It keeps me in the same mood endlessly.
Yeah.
And they all have similar things that I can see in common.
There's
they'll be the sacred geometry in my head.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And none of it is this other stuff.
Right.
You know?
That's
like
cool.
all kinds of music of just like
Yep.
throw it away.
That's crazy. So who are you listening to at the moment? Is there anyone in
I
particular?
haven't, but you know what I will say is the other week I went and saw Fontaine's DC.
Right.
It was hot shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, they put me on the list.
Nice.
Because it was well sold out, you know?
Fuck yeah.
A lot of people, people enjoyed it. I think that's a good thing. And I think for the most part it was worth that kind of adulation or whatever, you know? Like the respect that they were getting, you know?
Yeah.
In Berlin, it's good to see an Irish band, a band not from the country. It's kind of good for music when you see like a sold out show like of that size. It's good for music, you know?
It's really good. To see young bands coming up and being so celebrated as well. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they got all their ducks in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, they put in a lot of hard work over the last 12 years or whatever they've been around.
Some great albums as well.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that doesn't happen for anyone, but they are cool people. And, you know, they, along the way, they even talked about bands they like, which I think is so cool because, you know, those guys, Patty and these guys, it was like, we ripped off Anton's beats or whatever, you know, we like that.
Yeah.
And talking about bands they like, you know, a million people are going to do that and never even say, I like Boards of Canada or whoever. They'll never tell you a band that they respect or they liked or influenced them as a youngster. None of my heroes mentioned any band.
That's crazy. Yeah.
None of those 60s bands mentioned anybody.
It's like a giant competition. Yeah.
I don't know. I think the old guys thought like if you didn't play if you know anything about the way the Romans ruled, you know, it's not nice.
No.
And there's that certain and that whole thing's going on if you pick up on what they're saying about P. Diddy,
right?
All that stuff right now. It's the same kind of stuff,
right?
Anyway, I think they figure that if you didn't make the sacrifices and go through all the things that they went through, then you didn't really make it like they did. Doesn't matter if you sold more records. So what I'm saying is, the Beatles signed a record deal where they were making half cent, 3 cents a copy.
Yeah.
Until Alan Klein came along and got them out of that deal, and they created Apple. Yeah. They weren't making any money. They were doing it off of live concerts and merchandising, all this other stuff. But they weren't making any money off the records at all. And the same thing with the Rolling Stones gave Alan Klein all their 60s music to get out of that contract so they would actually make money off selling records. They weren't making any money off selling a million records. So it's that same kind of thing. You get no respect from anybody. unless they figure that you fought your way up.
Yeah.
The exact way that it's like basically selling your soul, you know.
Yeah.
And come out the other side, or at least be invited to the party.
That's cool.
It's very odd to me.
Yeah.
You know, but there's different levels of it. You know.
When you reflect on your discography, how has like the sound and the artistic vision sort of evolved over time?
Well,
you think about that.
Well, look, people aren't going to understand right now because everybody's got some kind of digital audio station. So this egalitarian, you can do it too thing through technology is bullshit. It's this kind of thing. Now where kids think, oh, well, nobody's an artist because everybody is. This is the sound that my digital profile makes, you know, and I did this. And then everybody's got a program that puts their voice in tune and stacks all their tracks together, and they've got this, that, and the other, you know, lines everything up, compresses it automatically. AI is going to finish their song for it,
yeah.
for them. They
Right,
can
the
buy
lyrics.
beats, and it's just all this BS. Okay, in the beginning there was like this whole thing that, like, you know, in the big labels, it was like if somebody didn't see that you had talent enough to make it happen, then it wasn't going to happen for you. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if somebody sitting in an office didn't invest in it for a recording, it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's like Big Daddy White Bucks or whatever saying, I see it, kid, you got talent,
yeah.
you know? And there was all these gatekeepers, right? So this kind of crazy lo-fi and do-it-yourself thing, there always was some outsider art, you know, people did things. But this crazy lo-fi thing that's a post-punk sort of thing was like, we don't even need you, you don't understand.
Yeah.
You don't understand the concept. So if you look like people like Guided by Voices or so what it was this kind of thing is like, I don't need your permission, I don't even need money to make records.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna figure this out. It isn't even about having words to a song.
You were like knocking out 3 albums in a year.
Yeah, but a lot of that was fighting with the record labels because the concerts, that's the thing, is you take this idea, even if it's on a 4-track with your friend, right? And then you're playing it blitzed out, and you filled up a Masonic temple full of people, and kids are like throwing chairs against the wall. It's all ages, you know, and it's you got 1,000 19-year-olds in the street, and everybody's just, there's no police anywhere, and every record label's trying to sign you, and you're like, no.
Yeah.
You know, like we're actually just playing music. Then it's like something, and there was, you know, there's a lot of things that were going on in America that people didn't really register in the UK. You know, it's like Fugazi sold 6 million copies. Mind Threat sold 6 million copies out of their house with like 8 employees.
That's crazy.
That's almost as much as 10 million that were, you know.
Yeah. Such an accomplishment, isn't it? I mean,
Well, it's like way more than 50 Cent or any of these guys as far as actual records.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, you know, these are just people and they weren't even on drugs, you know, this is just buying, this is just like pulling up in envelopes.
Yeah.
This is like pre-internet.
It's crazy. And do you think that the internet has kind of impacted that? Do you think that's kind of, in a good way, kind of impacted it?
Well,
or
what I
bad
saw
way?
happen from us is once Nirvana had sold 10 million, then all the record labels expected everybody to sell 10 million.
Yeah.
They were throwing like 200 grand at every single thing that moved, but
Yeah.
it destroyed everything. But our whole point from the beginning was, it isn't about what I sound like. It's like, you can do this. Obviously, you know, I wet the bed as a kid. You can just do what you want to do. But people forever, you know, is really open about the business side of it. You know, even it got kind of screwed up in the movie because they didn't feel like that was the message, even though that's what I laid down the whole time, which proved to be super true.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
Well, you don't actually get it because still people, they've just come back in 20 years and still people get the perception from watching something that's how many years old. They're like, boy, that guy really fucked up his life and his career. They don't realize that Capitol Records is boarded shut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The record business is over.
Yeah.
Like everybody who's criticizing me doesn't have a job, and here I am.
Exactly.
You know?
Still on tour.
And my kid's fine, and
Yeah,
everybody, you know what I mean? It's like, right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just miss this thing. It's like the dandies label doesn't exist. My record company does.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
That's it. Exactly.
But
you're right. There wasn't the translation in the UK at the time before that.
Well, it's all of it. It's,
yeah.
You know, it's so few. It's. I mean, there's two things that happen. Is everybody who's sold their publishing got to come back 20 years later. So we see the 20-year bands coming back on tour. There's a couple of them. I'm not dissing them, you know, because I love Slowdive and all this stuff. But you see this kind of thing, whether it's Riot or Slowdive or whoever coming back. 20 years later, it makes sense because now they have a piece of their contract is expired.
And they can do whatever they...
Sure.
Yeah.
And you see Oasis coming back in 2020, where their deal was in 95. So you
Yeah.
see them coming back in 20 years, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So now they can...
You've just been continuing.
Well, now they got a piece of the action.
Yeah. Yeah.
What they didn't have a piece of the action is renegotiated or whatever. But you know, so there's that, and then you know, My Bloody Valentine, those guys walked.
Yeah.
But nobody else, man. There's a lot of bands. I watched them all just like go. They're all gone. From you know, music used to be a giant part of this economy.
Yeah, huge.
But then a lot of people talk about this other thing is that you know, people don't have the mental space for music anymore. People used to sit around, you know. Now people are on Instagram and whatever, flipping through stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They don't have the mental space to like listen to a 3-minute and 30-second long song. They're dealing with 15 seconds maybe.
Yeah.
Before, maybe it's just 3 seconds. Maybe it's 2 seconds before they swipe.
Let alone 4 sides of an album, like, you know.
So they're just not doing anything where they can sit through a song. So music's got a tough thing, but it might be a good thing.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you. You don't have to answer, but do you have like a favorite Brian Jonestown record?
Well, you kind of were just asking that in a way.
Yeah.
Right? No, not really. But I think no, I don't. You know, I kind of just like
just keep going.
Well, it really is like bowling. I don't know how aware people are of bowling in this country. You know what bowling is?
It's like 10-pin ball.
Like bowling ball and pins.
Yeah.
You know, or a sport like that.
Yeah.
Where you toss the ball and you kind of like go, and you know, and you're like, and then it misses or it hits it.
Yeah.
You know, and then you pick up the next ball.
You're off to the next thing.
And then after that whole game, you just like, I'll see you next Friday. You know, and that's what it is until you give up. Right. You know, you try what you can, and when you're younger, for me, you know, it was always like this really explosive situation because you know it was so hard to get a chance, find an opportunity, and you never know if it's coming back around. So the stakes were so high. Yeah, you know.
You were singularly focused on the music.
But you'd have friends, you know. It's like fuck, they're just 19 years old or something. Yeah. You know, whatever.
It's crazy.
And I'd be like, pay the fucking pay attention, you know.
Yeah.
And they'd just be like, you're such a jerk. But I was right, you know.
20 albums later, I mean,
what are you going to do?
Exactly. You can't force people to come along for the journey.
No. What do you guys think of Kim Deal's solo record?
I really like it.
People are like, oh yeah, first time she's done that.
Yeah.
I wonder what's up with Kelly.
Yeah. Why is it not? It's basically the Breeders.
You might be having too much fun.
Yeah.
Just for mashups. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Everything in its right place. And,
yeah. These two records are great besides that.
I think actually, in retrospect, Kid A is probably my favourite like Radiohead record. I do like Moonshaped Pool. I thought that was like
song is great.
It's incredible. Yeah.
But those guys are such moany ponies.
Do you know much about this label in Sam Solenton? You know, Chicago-based jazz kind of stuff.
Okay.
Incredible. Honestly, that album
spectacular.
This one? Yeah.
Dope.
Really good. Jamie Branch, she died in 2022, and this was put out posthumously. Just incredible. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll do it. We hit every shop we can every place we play.
Yeah.
And try and buy stuff. Like Ricky generally goes home with like 120 albums every trip.
Oh my gosh.
Like he has a new case. He's got thousands at his mom's place. I mean, he's like over 50 years old, but he has a room in his mother's place that's filled with albums.
Wow.
It's
Just filling every.
But we try and support. We try and support all the shops because they support us.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do.
For sure. So that was great. That was brilliant. What a honor to meet him.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
it's just so great to watch back. Like, it was so amazing being in the room during that interview and chatting to Anton. And yeah, he picked up a great recommendation, which was Jamie Branch's album.
One of my favorite albums of 2023. Just a brilliant record.
So yeah, hope that's he's enjoying that on his way back to Berlin.
I reckon he will. Like, I picked that one because I was like, that's right up his street, I think. Yeah, like acoustic instruments.
And something that he hadn't heard of as well. So it's always nice to introduce something new. But yeah, so grateful for Anton's time, for chatting with us, for visiting us, for supporting the shop as well.
Yeah.
As we said at the top, so yeah, Brian Jonestown Massacre are playing on the 7th of February at Liverpool Olympia. Go and buy your tickets. So to mark the return of BJM to Liverpool, we're super excited to share a giveaway as part of the podcast. Whilst Anton was here, he was very kind and generous to sign this copy of his latest album. Have you listened to this?
Yeah, it's incredible. So The Future Is Your Past was his last record. I think during the interview, he said that it was a lockdown record. And just look at this artwork, all done by him. And yeah, signed, a lovely signed copy. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you comes with some crayons as well, so you can colour in and customise your own. But yeah, here's Anton's signature here. But
Great.
yeah, if you are a BJM fan, if you're going to the gig, if you're local to Liverpool, A, B, C, or any of the above, you can get your hands on this by entering our giveaway. So if you go to our Instagram, there will be a post for you to like and comment and share. And if you do that, you'll be entered into the giveaway. And then we'll announce the winner on the day of the gig, which is the 7th of February.
Well, that's just incredible. I love that record. It was so good.
It's so good. So yeah, a super really nice thing to have for any collector and for any BJM fan as well.
Big time. Unique, one of a kind.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.
So thanks for watching this really special episode of the Dead Air podcast.
Join us next week where we'll be talking more about music, bands that are from Liverpool that are coming to Liverpool, and also some of the records that are coming across. Also, the rest of this season, we're excited to have some live music that we'll be recording here in the shop and some in-store performances. So yeah, thank you so much. See you next week.
Take care.